kidogo. Lakini kumbe unakuta ndicho kiuliza kichwa chako kinatakiwa kitafute tofauti kabisa. Nancy, are we together? Tatu, are you there? Do you have any questions? Maybe up to this time, I didn't give you a chance. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to ask me questions. Now it's time for you to ask you questions. You know it's better if we learn one thing, we understand, rather than learning 10 or 100 things and we don't understand them. That's what I believe. First of all, did you understand this clarification? Yes. So, because you can also, once you find that in your heart you hear about innovation, okay, you can change now, leave it, engineering, go to the scientific area there. Then you say, my father. No, it's not a matter of your father. It's a matter of what is inside you. Your father is your father, you is you, your mother is your mother. This is your own assignment. Once you get into wrong direction, you are destroying your present and future life. That's a challenge. Because you lose peace of mind. It doesn't mean that you won't get money. You will be maybe a millionaire. But you don't have peace of mind. Why? Because you have something else you have to do and you didn't start it yet. Are we together? Tatu now is tired. Yeah, Tatu, the way that she's looking like she's tired. And maybe even online students, some of you are tired. And actually they say, this is lecture 3, but lecture 1, but it seems like lecture 10. Don't worry, I'm about to end today's lecture or workshop. Because when I say that, students, they get at least happy. Because always students are happy to finish the lecture. Whether they understood or they didn't understand, but they are happy to finish that particular lecture. Right? Yes, I've been a student, so I was very happy when I hear that I'm about to finish. I say, yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, so this is the way that you have to think. This is just for the lamp. Even if you take a buzzer like this, you can find that the buzzer has been innovated by scientists, but now the engineers, they have to think how we can do abstractions and assumptions to build a useful buzzer to solve a mankind problems. Are we together? So you see how we depend each other. It doesn't mean that another engineer you cannot innovate something. You can innovate, but it's much work because sometimes you have to shift even from your area. In engineering, we teach you to make assumptions. For example, you see that to know the current flowing through this lamp, an engineer is not interested with weight, an engineer is not interested with size, an engineer is not interested with color, an engineer is not interested with texture. Why? Because he used to make an assumption the color of the lamp does not change the magnitude of current flowing through the lamp. Whether it is blue, whether it is green, we as engineers, we make assumption that the amount of current that will be flowing is not affected by color. It will be affected by what? Resistance of the resistor or the resistance of the load. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So that is. So even if you take a transistor or a diode, for example, like this one. So diode, you can discuss a diode from science perspective and from engineering perspective. Right? So maybe the scientists, the electronic scientists are the one innovated the diode. And it's, for example, a transistor, yes, there are 3 electronic scientists who innovated it, right? But now an engineer is to take a diode and to make some assumptions and use it to solve a particular real life problem. Hello? Hello? So for you now, if you analyze yourself, have you ever been a scientist or electrical engineer, or you have been non-scientist, neither a scientist nor electrical engineer, or neither an engineer? So none of them, Because A, have you ever been a scientist? B, have you ever been an engineer? C, have you ever been scientist and engineer? D, none of the above. Ask your neighbor. What's your answer? A, B, C, D. And once you answer, okay, demonstrate for me. Demonstrate for me. So you can find that yourself, you have been just giving a company scientists. We have been giving company scientists, right?
Yeah.
Yes. You've been giving companies engineers, but you have never been one of them. Okay, so now it's time for questions. You're welcome. Nance had questions. You're welcome to ask. First of all, did you understand? Yes. Did you get something new?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. But Adrian, you didn't reply anything. Did you understand?
Yes.
Did you get something new?
Yeah.
Sure. So you thought that maybe if you meet this knowledge maybe 10 years ago, it could be fine? Yeah. Okay. Give God thanks even to meet you for it today, because there are others who will die as electronics engineer and they have never heard about this.
I want to relate what
Speak loudly, Nancy. Speak loudly, Nancy.
I want to relate what you have told what I have.
You want to relate about what I have taught and what you have.
Okay, so it means
yes.
Scientists act like the providers. And the engineers
yes.
use that knowledge which is
being provided
by the scientists
to
break it down by making assumptions so that it can be useful.
Yes, because the scientists, their ideas always is complicated. They complicate life. So once you give a scientist real life problems, he might even spend maybe 10 years of research. Why? Because his mindset has been taught that how this can affect this, and this can affect this, and this can affect this. That's how they think.
So the engineers simplify.
Yes, that's your responsibility. You have to simplify life. And you have to ask yourself, since you learned engineering, are you simplifying life or you are complicating life? Are you simplifying life or you are making life difficult? You are making life difficult. Your own life first. And then other people's life. Because always you are there and then you are only talking. You have never demonstrated anything. Okay, that is. So Nancy, actually you just wanted to verify what you are thinking. Thank you. Another question, Adrian. Every student here should ask at least one question. At least one question. So because Adrian has started in front, let me give him some time to draft the question. Let me go to Engineer Tat. Quickly. I want to finish the class. Tat, you are welcome to ask the question. Tat is still crafting the questions. Let us go to Engineer Gill. Welcome to ask a question.
Sir, can you ask a question out of topic?
Out of topic?
Yes.
No.
But
Later, at the end of the sessions, I will give you that chance. Ask about what you've covered.
It's about BJT's transistor.
Bipolar junction transistor.
Yes. Okay. In the second question, I came across it. They were asking about what happened when you short a base, what happened when you short a capacitor, what happened when you short a collector. In what will be the results?
Once you short a resistor, or you short a base of the transistor,
Yes.
or you short the collector of the transistor, or the image of the transistor. Okay, so I think that you will get the answer once we get them, because you have those particular chapters. Yeah, and maybe we can try to short what will happen. So, but that is out of the topic. You didn't ask about today's topic.
Inside the chapters, discuss about transistor, the beauty of transistor. Yes.
Okay. Now it's time for Hilda. Welcome to ask a question. I know that you are tired, because the news you made today, you didn't expect to meet it. And every day here we'll have some new information. So get prepared for that. Hilda, you're welcome. Ask a question. Did you understand?
Yes.
If you understand, you have to ask questions. That's the principle of learning. Because once you ask questions, you can get more information, more than what has been provided. Some of the informations I can teach you once you ask a question. If you don't ask me the questions, I know you're not in demand of it. Okay, so hear the instruction question. Now, Adrian, let us come to Adrian. Do you have any question? Huh? No. You want to leave the class? Oh, Tatu? You don't have any questions. But would you like to clarify something? Maybe to prove? Yeah, yes. I know that you're always there.
For sure, I get something new for today. That engineers are just becoming scientific what them innovated. But for us as engineers, we just simplifying their ideas and apply it in real life problems. That is all I get.
So it means that from now you understand that if on your left hand side you have a scientific innovations, like the build-a diode or a transistor, right? For you as an engineer, you have to understand how does it work, what you need, what are abstractions you have to build, and what are assumptions that you have to build. But at the same time, you have to understand what are the real-life engineering problems that mankind suffer or have. And then now you are the middle person. See the assumptions that you have to make for that scientific innovation. And then you simplify life of mankind. That's how engineer has to think. But unfortunately, you find that maybe you'll be focusing on left-hand side itself. And then you don't know anything about right-hand side. So you will be partial.
Engineer.
Partial.
Engineer.
Partial. Speak it loudly. Partial.
Engineer.
Partial.
Engineer.
Yes, because you'll be learning the bipolar junction transistor. Then how can I apply it to simplify human life? So it'll be 50%, not even 50%, because you I know that you will not understand the bipolar junction transistor as how it is in great extent. You may learn because you have exam ahead, so it will be maybe 25% of 25 engineer in bipolar transistor, bipolar junction transistor engineer. Because even itself you don't understand in terms of concept in detail, but now on another side that how you can apply to simplify human life, you're ignorant. So you become partial. But also simply, that's what we call it, you become theoretical. Engineer. You become theoretical.
Engineer.
Wonderful. So now, I didn't say that I don't have. Isaiah.
My question.
He sent a question from engineer Isaiah.
Concerning
or engineering student. For myself, one thing, let me just say this one before I give Isaiah to ask a question. When I have been grabbing these informations, for me I spent a lot of time, and actually that I agreed to say, okay, let my performance be not normal as how I used to perform in primary school, in secondary school, because I wanted more time for practical. So when I was in third year of my engineering studies, I'm giving you testimony, so listen. When I was in third year of my engineering studies and fourth year, then I said, okay, I've been doing well in first year and second year in terms of passing exams and GPA. It was good, right? Because it was my history to do well since I was standard 1. So I like to do well, right? So from that time, I realized that no, this is tough because I was almost 50% of my studies in engineering, right? And then once I was 50%, when I analyzed myself practically, I was almost 5%. I wanted to quit the institution because for myself, I didn't go in college or in the Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology to look for a certificate. I just know that I will be given a certificate, but for me, that's not my first priority. Are we together? So my first priority is just to learn, to have skills, and especially practical skills. Because I learned science from primary education up to Form 6, then it was more theoretical. And I've been given promise. You'll do practical at university. You do practical at university. So I wanted to see the proof. Right? So just to shorten, maybe one day I can give you that kind of a testimony. But simply it means I declared myself. From now onwards, every day, I have to spend, even I have a day of my day, night and day, to learn practical myself. And I said, okay, it's fine. Maybe my performance is going to drop down. because I won't spend much time on dealing with the modules, and most of the modules that we have been learning by that time, they are teaching us about the electronic history of what has been done in 1950, 1957, 1970, which actually the world is not there, it's no longer there. Right? So I was studying two institutions. One institution is my private institution. Another institution is the Dar es Salaam Institute institution. And I was balancing. But I said, okay, fine, my GPA will drop up, right? My performance will drop up. I know that it doesn't mean that I don't know those stuff, but I took much time on learning something I'm interested in. Are we together? Yes. Because this is tough. Once I understand, and another thing which I understand from this understanding, I was afraid myself to call an engineer. Until tomorrow, until today. Because actually, I'm not an engineer. I was afraid. However, that my institutions gave me a certificate that I'm an engineer. But when I analyze myself, not an engineer. That is personal thought. I was afraid. It means the word engineer has great content more than what I know. That's what I know. So you can be called an engineer, but are you worthy to be called an engineer? Are you practicing what the names or the honor that have been given? That's another question. But because in our country, we just love that we call each other engineer, okay, fine. It's not bad. It's not bad. Technician, it's not bad. It's good. But you have to think for a moment. I'm called a technician. I'm really a technician. Or I'm a political technician. I'm being called the engineer. I'm really engineer. Or I'm a political engineer. You know politics, eh? Politics is always what?
Speak.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. So who wanted to ask a question? I think that, Isaiah, okay, welcome for your question.
Sasa swali langu. Sasa mtu hapa, manake mtu unakuwa dailema. Uliweki mawazo yako ni kiasi scientist au engineer, yani unatakiwa sasa uwe sehemu gani? Basi kama unasoma, unasoma vitu vipi uelewe au usome tu concept kwa nini na dini na kutengeneza kama kwa mfano narekebisha simu. Nijue tu kutoa kioo na kukipachika. Yani naweka tu mfano. Kwamba engineer unasema anatumia vitu vyenye scientist amevigundua yeye kutoa zile si scientist anaweka zile mambo magumu. Njia ndefu. Sasa engineer ana simplify zile, yani kama anazipunguza baadhi zenyewe kama muhimu ili atatue tatizo. Sasa huo mfano yani ukichukulia kwa mfano simu yako ndio imeharibika kioo. Sasa engineer, maanake kuna mtu mwenye ametengeneza kioo. Alafu na kuna engineer mwenye kazi yake ni kurepair hiyo hapo simu kwamba. Kwa hiyo yani maanake yeye mwenye analipea hiyo, yeye atakuwa anadili kwamba kikiharibika kioo, solution ni kwenda dukani kununua kipya
na kupachika. Sawa, sasa labda nikujibu hivi. Hiyo kwa mfano okay. Let me just ask you questions. It means that he has been given an example and one the clarifications that what should you do, what the responsibility of this and that and that and that. And then he has given an example that what if, for example, my phone has a problem of display. Okay? So maybe a scientist has already designed a display and maybe designed a mobile phone. So an engineer, the responsibility of an engineer to go and buy a new display and then fix it or fit it into my mobile phone. So the answer of that question is this. First of all, the main responsibility of an engineer is not to replace components, is not for installations, is not for maintenance. The main responsibility of an engineer is to design. That installations, fixing out, maintenance is the responsibility of a technician or artisan. You get my point? Yeah, but only your concept is now. It means that you have to study yourself. You have to study yourself, whether you are going to be a scientist or an engineer. Right? So this knowledge I'm giving, you have to go and study yourself. So if now you say, okay, I'm an engineer, you have to pay the cost to be an engineer. because there is a cost. Now it's time for the homework. This is homework 01. We are still in terminology. So we ended terminology 3, eh? Huh? And terminology 4. Terminology 4 is applied mathematics. Applied mathematics. And the question here now, what is applied mathematics? You should not just be happy to find the definitions of applied mathematics, but you have to see electronics there and to see that what should you understand for the rest of your life. Are we together? I said I'm about to finish this workshop or this session. Okay, the fifth system knowledge, which is also your homework, is now the field where we are. And the fundamental question, this will be question 4, this is question 5. What is electronics engineering? You have to know it first, its definition, before you learn the nowadays. What that engineering first, electronics engineering? What is it? Are we together?
Yes.
Are we together?
Yes.
Yeah. So then the sixth knowledge is about theory. Of course, we say that electronics is theoretical and practical. So the fundamental question for the serious students, what is theory first? What is the meaning of theory? Yes, what is the meaning of theory? And once you can go further, what is the meaning of electronic theory? Or engineering theory, because you have scientific theory and engineering theory. And you see that, for example, that you see the difference between engineers and the scientists, right? Yeah. So once you learn that, what the meaning of theory, you understand the general meaning of theory. But now you have to focus. I am engineer. How am I going to focus about it? What are the engineering theories? What does it mean? Are we together? Are we together? Yes, the seventh terminology is practical. So the fundamental question that you have to ask, which is question 7, what is practical? Okay, tutakuwa tunafanya practical za electronics. Nini maana kwanza practical? Lazima upate tafsiri, si ndio? So unaweza ukasema nafanya practical, kumbe unafanya experiment. Au unafanya experiment, kumbe unafanya tu theory. Unaweza ukasema na design, kumbe unafanya implementation. Ni maneno ambayo ni muhimu sana. Na ukianza kuyaweka vizuri hata unavyoongea. Yaani hata wale ambao wasielewa, huyu jamaa anaelewa au huyu mtu anaelewa anachokiongea. Are we together?
Yes.
Is there any question? Whenever homework is given, there's no any further question from students. Because they are singing that song. So now it's time to sing our song. This is just we say bye-bye. So we can meet in the next session. Will you be with me in the next workshop?
Yes.
Will you invite more new students?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now we are singing our goodbye song that we learned in. How to write those questions? Don't say that somebody will write and send to me through WhatsApp. Yeah, no, you didn't write. Please finish. You have written them in brief. I know you. So now we are going to sing a standard, I think that nursery is called standard 1 and 2 song. Sasa, sasa, saya kwenda kwetu. Sasa, sasa, saya kwenda kwetu. Kwaheri mwalimu, kwaheri mwalimu. Tutaonana kesho. Do you hear the chorus? Okay, so let us go. 1, 2, 3. Sasa, sasa, saya kwenda kwetu. Sasa, sasa, saya kwenda kwetu. Kwaheri mwalimu, tutaonana kesho. Again. Sasa, sasa. Okay. Sasa, sasa, saa ya kwenda kwetu, sasa, sasa, saa ya kwenda kwetu. Kwa heri mwalimu.
Kwa heri mwalimu, tutaonana kesho.
Kwa heri wanafunzi, tutaonana kesho. Why? Because we are learning the beauty of practical electronics engineering. So we have to be happy. Even maybe 2 hours ago we are unhappy because of practical issues. But we should be starting with happiness and ending with certainty. Okay, may God bless you and see you tomorrow in the next session.
Thank you.
Okay. So I need the stuff that I gave you.